me? Why wasn't I dead yesterday, bitch, after I settled Beyonce got AIDS?
On the plane at 5:30 a.m. Go to this party. I think half the people there were butt naked. You would have loved it.
Diddy, Quincy, Justin Bieber,
So far,
French
so good.
Montana.
Do you even know half the people you're naming?
Will be exposed.
I mean, when I walk in, I definitely take pride in being the originator of the preparation of the little things that I personally like. A lot of ladies, they just, so you have, if you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
P. Diddy be wanting the body, and you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is.
Cassie Ventura, the former partner of Sean Diddy Combs and one of the most significant witnesses discussed in the case, stepped into the spotlight and began describing the events that prosecutors and the public had been watching unfold for months. What happened inside those alleged gatherings, often referred to in court coverage as freak-offs, became one of the most disturbing and closely scrutinized parts of the entire controversy. And as Cassie's testimony and other accounts continued, to surface, the story became far more complicated than a celebrity scandal. Because suddenly, people weren't just talking about parties. They were talking about control. They were talking about drugs. They were talking about recordings. They were talking about allegations of coercion. And most importantly, they were talking about what may have happened behind the carefully protected walls of one of the entertainment industry's most powerful circles. But just when it seemed like the controversy could not become any bigger, another explosive claim began circulating online. And this time, the internet was focused on a completely different question: what was actually true, and what was simply another rumor spreading faster than the facts could catch up? That distinction matters. Because one of the biggest claims circulating online alleged that Diddy was HIV positive and had somehow kept the information secret. But before anyone accepts that as fact, there is a major problem. The claim was presented online as an alleged leak, not as established medical evidence or a confirmed public finding. A document reportedly circulated online in June 2025, with people claiming that it showed Diddy was HIV positive and even contained names of other celebrities who were supposedly infected. That allegation quickly became part of the larger internet conversation. But there is a crucial difference between something being repeated thousands of times online and something being independently verified, and in this case, those claims remained unproven. Still, the rumor gained even more attention because similar allegations had previously been made publicly by Jaguar Wright during an interview in late 2024. Suddenly, old comments were being pulled back into the spotlight. Old interviews were being dissected. Old photographs were being examined. And every connection people could find was being turned into another theory. But then came the question that made everything even more uncomfortable. Were these stories connected to the allegations surrounding Diddy's parties? According to accounts presented in court and allegations contained in legal filings, the gatherings involved drugs, sexual encounters, cameras, and circumstances that Cassie said she did not always freely choose. That is where the story takes a darker turn. One male escort, who was identified in reporting as the Punisher, described an encounter that he said began under completely different expectations before allegedly turning into something involving Diddy and Cassie. Another escort, Sean Daring, also known as Skylar, reportedly testified about attending multiple encounters and said aspects of his experiences were consistent with elements of Cassie's account. And then came another allegation that generated enormous attention. One escort claimed that Diddy instructed him to urinate in Cassie's mouth while Diddy watched. It was an extremely disturbing allegation, and it quickly became one of the most discussed details surrounding the testimony. But the story was not simply about shocking allegations. It was also about the credibility of the witnesses, the defense's attempts to challenge their accounts, and the complicated relationship between Cassie and Diddy. When Cassie appeared in court, she was not simply walking into a courtroom. She was being asked to publicly revisit years of her life. She was also pregnant at the time, surrounded by security as she arrived to face cross-examination. Inside the courtroom, Diddy's defense team focused heavily on messages exchanged between Cassie and Diddy. Those messages became an important part of the defense strategy. Why? Because the defense attempted to use them to challenge the idea that Diddy was always the person controlling every aspect of the encounters. Jurors were shown numerous pages of text messages, including messages dating back to 2009. Some of those messages were sexually explicit, and some appeared on their face to show Cassie participating in conversations about the encounters. That gave the defense an opportunity to argue that the relationship and the events surrounding it were more complicated than prosecutors portrayed. But then came a moment that reportedly changed the atmosphere inside the courtroom. After some of the explicit messages were read aloud, Cassie asked for a short break. She reportedly placed both hands on her pregnant belly. For many people watching the proceedings, that image became symbolic of just how difficult the testimony was. Because regardless of how the individual messages were interpreted, Cassie was being asked to sit in a courtroom and listen to intimate pieces of her past being read aloud in front of strangers. The defense continued pressing her about the nature of their relationship. Cassie acknowledged that she and Diddy had discussed the idea of a swinger lifestyle, but she made a distinction. According to her testimony, what she described as the freak-offs were something different, and that distinction became extremely important. She described situations that she said went far beyond an ordinary consensual arrangement between adults. At one point, testimony focused on Diddy's alleged desire to watch Cassie have sex with another woman. Cassie reportedly said this happened several times, while also stating that Diddy mentioned the idea repeatedly. And this is where the larger picture began to emerge, because the case was no longer being discussed as a simple story about celebrity parties. It was becoming a story about power, a story about relationships, a story about what happens when private behavior allegedly becomes entangled with control, fear, drugs, money, and recordings. Meanwhile, online rumors about HIV continued spreading. An openly HIV-positive man reportedly claimed that he had attended several of the gatherings and had encountered both male and female celebrities. But once again, those claims remained unverified. And this is where viewers need to be careful. Just because a person makes an allegation does not automatically make the allegation true. Just because a name appears in a conversation, a lawsuit, a party photograph, or an online post, does not mean that person committed a crime. And just because two events happened around the same time, does not prove that one caused the other. That distinction becomes especially important as the story moves deeper into the entertainment world. Because once the allegations became public, people began looking at everyone who had ever been associated with Diddy differently. Former employees, party guests, musicians, actors, executives, and celebrities who had once appeared alongside him publicly. One former aide, David James, also became part of the courtroom discussion. According to testimony attributed to him, his responsibilities allegedly went far beyond ordinary administrative work. He described carrying a backpack containing various prescription drugs and supplements. Among the substances he mentioned were Percocet, ecstasy, Viagra, fat burners, and products he said were intended to increase sperm count. He also claimed that some ecstasy tablets were shaped like former President Barack Obama's face. According to his account, this was not something that happened only once. He portrayed it as part of a recurring environment. And then came another disturbing description. James reportedly testified that the aftermath of some gatherings could leave hotel rooms in complete disarray with broken glass and narcotics scattered throughout the space. These descriptions added another layer to the picture being presented in court, but there was still more. James also described an occasion when he allegedly traveled with Diddy, while Diddy reportedly had 3 weapons on his lap as they went to meet Suge Knight at a cafe. Each new detail seemed to open another door. And behind every door was another question. How much of the celebrity image was real? How much was carefully constructed? And how many people around Diddy understood what was allegedly happening behind closed doors? Then came the lawsuits. Cassie's 2023 lawsuit accused Diddy of serious wrongdoing, including abuse and sex trafficking, among other allegations. She alleged that she had been placed into dangerous and unwanted situations involving multiple people. The lawsuit was settled shortly after it was filed. But a settlement is not, by itself, proof that every allegation contained in a complaint was true. That point is important because the public conversation surrounding the case often moved much faster than the legal facts. As more testimony emerged, another individual described encounters involving Cassie and Diddy. He claimed that Diddy would tell him what to do and that he had been involved in multiple sessions. There was also discussion of a video recording. According to the account, Attorneys had requested the recording, and the witness said he turned it over. He later claimed that the recording was returned to him accidentally and that he might have destroyed the material or might still have had a copy. Once again, the allegations created a maze of unanswered questions. And then one witness described something even more disturbing. He claimed that during one encounter, Cassie became unconscious after drugs were allegedly involved. According to his account, he became concerned about the possibility that something could happen to her. He said he decided to record what was happening because he wanted evidence in case someone died or suffered a serious medical emergency. The account was deeply disturbing, but it also demonstrated why these proceedings became so difficult to separate from the enormous amount of speculation spreading online. There were sworn statements, there were lawsuits, there were allegations, there were competing interpretations, and then there were internet rumors filling in the gaps. The challenge for anyone following the story is knowing where the documented evidence ends and speculation begins, and that distinction becomes even more important as the story expands beyond Cassie and Diddy, because after the lawsuits and investigations began attracting worldwide attention, people in the entertainment industry started appearing to distance themselves from Diddy fans, noticed changes in social media connections involving celebrities who had previously been publicly associated with him. Names such as DJ Khaled, French Montana, and Young Miami were discussed online. But again, a social media change is not proof of wrongdoing. People can unfollow someone for countless reasons. Still, the public noticed, and once the public starts noticing patterns, the speculation can become almost impossible to stop. Then came another major question. Who else was around Diddy? Because if the allegations involved years of parties and gatherings, then people naturally wanted to know which celebrities had attended, and that is where some of the biggest names in entertainment began appearing in online discussions. Names that many viewers never expected to see. Names including Britney Spears, Paris Hilton, the Kardashians, and even Ellen DeGeneres. But here is where the story needs another warning label. Being photographed at a party does not mean someone participated in criminal activity. Being mentioned in testimony does not automatically mean someone was accused. And being friends with someone does not establish knowledge of that person's alleged misconduct. Yet once these names entered the conversation, the internet did what it always does. It started connecting dots, and sometimes those dots were based on evidence, sometimes they were based on old interviews, sometimes they were based on photographs, and sometimes they were based on nothing more than speculation. But one thing was certain, the Diddy story had now grown far beyond one person. It had become a massive examination of celebrity culture, power, private relationships, and the people who occupied the same rooms when the cameras were supposedly turned off. And this was only the beginning, because the next part of the story would bring even more celebrity names into the spotlight, and one of the most controversial connections involved a party attended by Britney Spears and Paris Hilton. What happened? Around that event became the subject of intense online speculation. But the real question was not simply who was there. The real question was what, if anything, actually happened behind the scenes. And that is where the story gets even more complicated. But before we move on, I want to hear what you think. After everything we've discussed, the testimony, the allegations, the old interviews, the celebrity connections, and the questions surrounding those infamous parties, there are still plenty of unanswered questions. Who do you think we'll hear more about as this story continues to unfold? And more importantly, do you think the public has been separating verified evidence from online speculation? Or have social media theories started becoming their own version of the truth? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated as more details, testimony, and developments emerge, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because this story is far from over. And if you found this breakdown interesting, hit that like button. It helps the channel more than you might think. At the end of the day, the Diddy controversy is not simply a story about celebrity parties. It is a story filled with serious allegations, legal battles, testimony, disputed claims, and unanswered questions. Some details have been presented through court testimony and legal filings. Others have circulated through interviews and social media. And some of the most sensational claims remain unverified. That distinction matters because when famous names are involved, speculation can spread within Seconds, a photograph can become a conspiracy. An old interview can suddenly take on an entirely different meaning. Social media unfollow can become a supposed secret signal, and a rumor, repeated enough times, can eventually start sounding like a fact. But the truth does not work that way. The truth requires evidence, it requires context, and sometimes it requires patience. What we do know is that the allegations surrounding Sean Diddy Combs have triggered an extraordinary amount of public scrutiny and have brought renewed attention to the people, relationships, businesses, and environments connected to him. What we don't know is just as important. There are still questions that only evidence, testimony, and the legal process can answer. So as more information emerges, remember one thing: don't believe everything you see online. Look at the source, look at the evidence, and most importantly, understand the difference between an allegation and a proven fact. Because the deeper this story goes, the more important that distinction becomes. And if you thought the names and revelations we've covered so far were shocking, just remember, this story is nowhere near finished. The next revelation could completely change the way people look at everything that came before it. So stay tuned, because when the next piece of this complicated story finally comes to light, the question may no longer be who was at the party. It may be what they knew, and when they knew it.